It's November 4th, 1944, and the U.S. 28th Infantry Division is trapped inside a meat grinder. Deep in the Hürtgen Forest, the men are bogged down in freezing mud, exhausted and desperately holding their lines. Look at these men. The infantry are completely exposed in their foxholes, and the situation is about to get much worse. Massive 45-ton German Panther tanks are breaking through the tree line and physically rolling their tracks right over the American positions. Against heavy armor, a rifle company in a trench has virtually zero chance of survival. Major Robert T. Hazlitt realizes his men are going to be slaughtered, so he grabs his radio and orders a total pullback. They need American tanks, right now. This entire opening phase of the battle is dictated by a complete vacuum of American armor. The infantry are on their own, setting off a desperate race against time to get Sherman tanks to the front. Just a mile away, help is trying to reach them. Platoon leader Lieutenant Raymond Fleig has 9 Sherman tanks from the 707th Tank Battalion, but they are drowning in mud. We can see exactly what they're up against here. The trail is completely impassable. Suddenly, Fleig's lead Sherman hits a German mine. The tank is crippled, and because of this narrow, deeply rutted path, the rest of the column is completely trapped behind it. Fleig has to think quickly. He orders his men to rig a tow cable, using the second tank in line as a physical anchor. They slowly swing one functioning Sherman around the crippled wreck, sliding dangerously close to the edge of a deep gorge. The cable holds, but freeing the rest of the platoon will take hours. Fleig can't wait. He climbs into the lone functioning Sherman and churns ahead. He is now driving into a fight against superior German engineering entirely alone. Fleig arrives at the village just as the infantry are falling back. Through the trees, he spots a German Panther pointing its 75mm gun straight at his men. But the Panther's side is wide open. It's a perfect shot. He calls the distance. The gunner fires. The shell hits the Panther's side with a massive, bright flash. But instead of tearing through the steel, there is just a heavy thud. No penetration. In the chaos of swapping tanks back on the mud trail, Fleig inherited another crew's setup. Notice the difference in these munitions. They had loaded blunt, high-explosive shells into the ready rack, instead of the solid, pointed, armor-piercing rounds needed to punch through thick steel. The loader scrambles to find the right ammunition, but they are caught in a mechanical trap. As you can see in this schematic, with the turret rotated toward the enemy, the gunner's basket is physically blocking the loader from reaching the whole storage racks, where the armor-piercing shells are kept. Fleig is trapped. He orders his gunner to start blindly rotating the turret away from the enemy to access the ammo. But then the German crew panics. Stunned by the heavy impacts of the useless explosive shells, they think their tank is about to burn. They pop the hatches and scramble out, giving Fleig a few precious seconds. The German commander quickly realizes there's no fire and orders his men back inside. But that delay is all Fleig needs. His turret finishes turning, the loader grabs an armor-piercing round, and they fire, smashing the Panther's gun barrel clean off.
A terrifying mechanical failure is completely reversed by exploiting human panic. The relief is short-lived. The Germans regroup and push back toward the village with 13 fresh Panthers and a column of Panzer IVs. Fortunately, American reinforcements finally arrive. M10 tank destroyers, led by First Lieutenant Turney W. Leonard. They quickly form a plan. This map shows the layout. Fleig's Shermans will peek over the Sumpfel crest to draw enemy fire, while Leonard's M10s sweep wide to the right to hit the Germans from the flank. The Shermans take the ridge, and the Germans take the bait, pouring fire into the crest. But halfway through the maneuver, the mud strikes again. Leonard's flanking attack grinds to a complete halt as his M10s lose traction and get stuck in the open. The M10s can still fire, but from their stuck position, they can't see the enemy.
Leonard grabs his binoculars, climbs out of his heavy armor, and sprints directly into the crossfire to act as a human spotter for his blinded crews. Up on the ridge, the diversion is taking a heavy toll. German shells are detonating so close to Fleig's Shermans that the sheer concussive shock physically jams their turret rings. Within minutes, 2 of Fleig's tanks are completely unable to aim. Fleig faces a horrific choice. He can retreat and save his remaining men, or stay. Knowing that if he pulls back, every German gun will turn on the trapped M10s, he chooses to keep his crippled, defenseless tanks exposed on the ridge, simply to draw fire. Down in the field, Leonard is running from cover to cover, shouting coordinates to his men. Suddenly, a mortar shell explodes right next to him, shattering his arm. Bleeding heavily in the mud, he realizes he has become a liability to his crew. When the medics reach him with morphine, they try to evacuate him. Leonard refuses. He demands they leave him a rifle and get out. He stays behind in the freezing mud to cover his crew's entire retreat. With the flanking force broken, Fleig has to pull back. Look at this Sherman. Before retreating into the woods, Fleig personally wires a hand grenade to the hatch of his last jammed tank, destroying it to ensure it doesn't fall into enemy hands. Now the armored counterattack is completely over. The remaining infantry are forced into a blind retreat through a steep, pitch-black gorge. They form a human chain in the dark, gripping each other's belts. But as German mortar shells crash into the trees, panic sets in. The chain breaks. Entire groups are driven into the underbrush and disappear into the forest, never to be seen again. Of the more than 2,200 men of the 28th Infantry Division who went into the fight, barely 300 walked out. For his actions in the Hürtgen Forest, Lieutenant Fleig earned the Silver Star. Lieutenant Leonard was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor, his body finally recovered 6 years later. War is never decided by the pristine vehicle specifications you read on a blueprint. Instead, it is a harsh environment governed by absolute friction. Mud, jammed turrets, and human error always dictate the battlefield. In the end, survival relies entirely on the extreme and often fatal adaptability of the people trapped inside the machines.